If you guys have been struggling on defense lately, you're not alone. And that's because Madden 26 had one of its most game-altering patches in its history just a few days ago on September 17th, especially in regards to defense. As this update changed how the defense reacts to several key adjustment functions that players have been using for years that now make your defense much worse if you use them. So if you guys want to learn more about the adjustments that you should now avoid, as well as the adjustments that will make your defense better, stick around after the intro. If you guys are looking for fast, cheap, reliable MUT coins, check out my coin sponsors at MMOXP.com and use discount code MONEYSHOT for 6% off your order. Link in the description below. The champ is here! Welcome back, Money Team. This is Madden Money Shot. Snip up the Madden cheese as always. In today's video, I noticed a lot of people in my comment section are saying that since the patch came out that they're really struggling on defense. So I want to focus on that because the biggest change, and this is something that I went over in a previous video that I put out on Thursday, was how you make adjustments to defense in a very specific way. But before I do, as always, if you guys want to see more videos like this, please make sure to be a subscriber, hit the like button, let me know in the comment section. Oh, and that's going to get right into the video. Now, the first thing I want to go over is probably the biggest change, and that's how you make coverage adjustments. As in the past, all people really ever did was hit wire triangle and then up or down on the right stick. And they did that because it was the quickest way to change your flats. So on a play like this, I'm just running a regular cover 2 hard flat, which is a defense that I went over in a video on Thursday. And if you guys want to see this against live opponents, you want to learn more about this, I will have that popping up on screen at the end of the video, as well as in the top right hand corner right now. But this defense here is probably my favorite defense to use right now. It's something that I feel like has really good matching principles all across the board, and it takes away probably the biggest strengths of pretty much any offense, which is why I use it. But I'm also going to show you guys how this works with cover 3 and cover 4. So basically, if you hit wire triangle and then up on the right stick, you're going to notice how this hard flat here is going to turn into a cloud flat as it went away there. But we can turn that into a cloud flat very easily. This is something people used to do. Say you come out in a cover 2 cloud flat and you want to play a hard flat underneath. You want to take away some sort of outside route, or say your opponent's trying to run to the outside. This is a very quick and easy adjustment that people have been using for years. Well, now if you do this, it completely overrides every player on defense with the exception of the deep zones, which includes the vert hooks, which are matching vert hooks, by the way. Vert hooks are the best hook zones to use because Bond here is going to match this receiver and follow him all the way across the field. The same thing on the other side with Nolan Smith. He's going to match this tight end and follow him all the way across the field. The mid-read, though, probably has the most important job, and that's to basically make sure that nobody splits these safeties, because that's probably the easiest way to score. So by me playing underneath, now since the patch, they actually changed it so that not only the hard flats react underneath, but all of these zones will react underneath. So you're going to see how this mid-read is going to play down. You're going to see how the vert hooks are going to play down. They're all going to play around the same 5 yards around the line of scrimmage, which really only stops one type of play. It really only stops drags. So to do that to your entire defense is really going to make it much worse. But I think a lot of people are still making this adjustment mistake based on the fact that it's something that's been in the game and a core function for years. So I reset the play back to hard flat because I just want to show you guys how this play reacts normally before I show you how it reacts once I make those changes. So we're just going to go ahead, we're going to use this defensive end here just because I just don't want to, I'm just going to hang around the line of scrimmage so I don't affect the play, because I just want to show how these zones work. And you can see the defense gets about a 2-yard completion. And we can see that this defense worked exactly how I said it would. This guy here is going to follow this tight end across the field the entire way. This guy is not open. This is not an open route here by any means. He's blanketing that. Same thing happened with Bond here, though. This feels like the ball went out pretty quick because he reacted to it away. But you can see he's turning to run with this receiver as he would have most likely blanketed that. The hard flats do their job. This is not a matching coverage because the hard flats are just designed to stay around that outside where a lot of people try to attack the flats. As we get that look pretty much everywhere. But this hard flat does match this receiver enough that you can see he follows him across the area and gets a tackle for a 2-yard loss. Now let's see what happens if we play over the top, as we're going to basically get the same look, but you're going to see how a lot of these routes are not going to work now. So I went ahead and hit wire triangle and then over the top. Now these guys are all going to drop back to about a 12 to 18 yard depth, and you're going to see how they're going to leave these routes wide open for catch and runs underneath, as everything is going to drop back now, and it's also going to override the matching principles, which is something that they mentioned. Let's see how we had this guy here basically blanketing this receiver before. He still kind of, starts in that direction, but you can see he eventually drops off. He's not matching anymore. He drops off, and now he's just sitting in a zone. He's sitting in a spot drop, which totally sucks. This is one of the reasons that a lot of people are struggling with defense. Same thing on the other side. Zach Bond, we saw how he was going to match. He never makes any attempt to match here. He just drops to a spot 12 to 18 yards down the line of scrimmage and just sits there, and look how everything is open underneath. So let's say that I put this particular defense on a hard flat. You can see we've got the cloud flats there. If I had wire triangle then down the right stick and change to a hard flat, now you're going to see how this defense is even worse, especially over the middle to the mid read. So let's go and let's run this one more time. I'm running the same play every single time, but you're going to see how that mid read just lets that guy go for a huge catch and run. If it wasn't a tight end, it probably would have been a touchdown. So now back in replay form, you can see how this doesn't match anything. He just lets him run right past. Look at this guy. He just sits there and lets him run right past to be wide open. And I don't know why Dak didn't throw to this guy, because that was probably the quicker read. But same thing with the other matching vert hook that we looked at already. If we can get on this guy, you can see how same thing, just stops right there, doesn't go anywhere. We do get a little bit of a match from the mid read. You can see he follows this crosser across, but he's just leaving a wide open space over the top. So if you play either one of these, you're going to notice that your defense is going to be absolutely horrible. So what do I do now if I want to make adjustments when it comes to defense? There's really only two options, but hitting wire triangle and up and down the right stick is not one of them. That is something you're only really going to want to do, in my opinion, if it's like 3rd and inches and you want everybody to play down, or if it's like 3rd and 18, you want everybody to play back. That's the only times now where you can use this, where a lot of people would come out and play hard flats or play cloud flats or play up or down on just about every single play, because there was minimal change, especially when it comes to the mid reads and the vert hooks. So now the best way to do this, in my opinion, there's two ways. Number one, keep a Tampa 2 and a cover 2 hard flat in your audibles, as I don't have to make any adjustments. If I want to change those cloud flats without changing the middle zones, I could simply switch to a cover 2 hard flat, and I'm going to get a different reaction on the defense. Let's go and let's let it run one time here. As you'll notice, once again, the flats are going to be open underneath, but we didn't override the matching principles of all the 3 other zones in the middle of the field. The mid zones here are still going to match, which is what I want them to always do, because that's one of the strengths of this defense. You're still going to take that away. You're still going to have the mid read trying to drop back over the center of the field, although the ball got out pretty quick. It's just not going to be as good when it comes to underneath throws, but you still have the ability to cover, to change plays and cover everything the same way without completely damaging the zones. So that's one way to do it, but the other way to do it is hitting Y or triangle twice to bring up your quick adjustments, and then manually select these players and change them into hard flats. I probably should have changed to a cloud flat to show the change, but you can see how you can hit Y triangle for the quick adjust, and then you can change these guys individually, which is one way to do it, which is going to be interesting if you're using something like a cover 4 or cover 3, which I'll show you guys next. So now I'm in a cover 3 match, which is also a very popular defense. In the past, I would say that you can hit Y triangle and then down on the right stick to play underneath. This would make the seams vulnerable, but at the same time, it would take away the flats underneath the deep zones on the outside, which are also another issue. But now if I want to do that, the only way I can really do that is by changing these guys individually into hard flats, is making individual hard flats, because I don't want to override the seam flats, and I also don't want all these hook curls to play down underneath. This is another defense where I really think it would be best to put these guys in vert hooks. But let's just run the play like this one time as is, just to see how this defense reacts as far as the matching principles, as you really don't want to override them. As you can see right there, he was covered even though he snuck it in there. And you also saw how we had 2 guys covering the seam over here, because these vert hooks, or these seam flats rather, and the vert hook that I changed this guy to, are both designed to man match these guys. You can see we get a double team, and there's no way that guy's going to get open, even though he's being covered by a linebacker and an edge rusher. And that's kind of what I want. I want guys to match. Matching principles are very strong. You don't want to override them, and just about any adjustment you make when it comes to over top or underneath is going to change that. Now, once again, if say I want to, seam flats also, since they man match, they don't undercut routes. Typical cover 3, and I'll hopefully have that in my audibles here, but typical cover 3 seam flats, I'll have to change it manually here. A curl flat, which I don't know what happened. I guess I did the wrong adjustment, but a curl flat will typically drop underneath an out route. So if you have like an out route or a comeback route, these curl flats will typically prioritize that, where seam flats will typically man match and follow a guy around like we just saw, especially when it's going up a seam, because that's the biggest strength or the biggest weakness of the defense. So these are things that, like I said, you can once again keep a cover 3 match and a cover 3 drop, which I'll show you guys what that looks like, because I can actually do that. But you can keep a cover 3 sky like we have here in your audibles, so that if you have somebody that's working corner routes like this play here, if I want to switch from a cover 3 match, which I have my audibles, to a cover 3 sky, say that I'm afraid my opponent's going to work that curl route there, or that corner route, which we'll go ahead and let the play run one more time just to see how you can see how the curl flat. I don't know if you were watching, but you can see how these principals react differently. Is he's not going to worry about the seam anymore. He's now going to sit underneath corner routes. He's going to sit underneath comeback routes, out routes, all that stuff. And that's basically because I just had to change plays. There are also a lot of cover 3 hard flats from time to time in certain defenses, but not every defense has that. So that's going to be one of those scenarios where you're going to have to make individual adjustments rather than just relying on playing over the top or underneath. Now, the next thing I want to go over is cover 4. This is one of the few defenses you can do this without really any downside. This is a play here where we only really have one guy playing any sort of mid zone, which is a 3-rec hook here. So if I wanted to play underneath and user this guy, that's going to be the one thing that I can do. This is going to be the one defense where I can do this, because I'm usually the only guy that's really playing over the middle. So if you play in cover 4s and there's only, or any defense really, where there's only, say you're sending a cover 3 blitz where there's only one mid zone, this is going to be the only time where you can play hard flats and not have any downside, based on the fact that I'm the only one covering and I can control the depth of the drop anyway. But at the same time, you don't necessarily want to be the only guy in the mid zone. I'm going to end the video there, but if you guys want to see more from this defense, I'll have a gameplay video that I just put out popping up on screens. Just click the links, and until next time, thanks for watching, man. My shit out. Need more help or just want to show your support? Then head over to my Patreon and join my team, where you can get exclusive content like ebooks and bonus plays, as well as early access to my vids and more. Link in the description below.